This is week one of 4 weeks that we're going to pause for some focus on our execution. When we think of execution, when we are taking action towards a desired result or goal, we tend to think in terms of the actions that we're taking. Now, for example, I have a goal right now to increase the number of people on my email list. So, one of my actions is to promote my resource on creating a 10-year goal. That is typically what we would think of as execution. And yet there's a hidden part of execution that is critically important and frequently, well, honestly, it's easy to overlook. And those are the roadblocks to execution. So, the next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about some of the most common roadblocks and what we can do to address those, to remove them out of the way. So, the actions that we're focused on, well, honestly, so that we get the most bang for our time and effort when we are engaging in these actions. You ready to go? Do you have an idea of what the first one may be? Nope, not time management. We're talking energy management. What's the difference and why does it matter? Part of it is that time management is important. That is very true. And yet, we all have 24 hours in the day, and there are 24 hours in the day. That's it. So we can manage it, but we're managing a very, well, it's defined. There's no flexibility in it. Energy, on the other hand, is renewable. There's a lot we can do around energy. There's no limit to like we have 24 units of energy per day. We have more control over energy. It is important that we make the best use of our time. That is true. And yet the part that we generally tend to skip over is energy management. The lack of energy management can drag down our time management as well as execution in general. What we want to remember is that working harder, longer, faster is not strategy. That's pushing into resistance. And yet, for many of us, that is the default. For me, that was the default for years, to the point I would work until I no longer had the energy, and then I would sleep 12 or 14 hours. So, energy management matters. And when we start feeling like we are pushing into something frequently, if we pause for a minute, it's probably because we don't have much energy. Now, sleep is a critical part of it. However much sleep that you require, it's important for us to figure out what is the amount of sleep we require. For me, it's about 7 hours. If I get a fairly consistent 7 hours, maybe there's a night or two during the week that it's a little less than that. I'm generally good to go. I can maintain high energy. So that's a part of it, is our sleep. Now, there's a few other things that impact our energy. There's really 4 components that low energy impacts. Our decision making, both the quality as well as the speed. Our focus, we are generally less focused when we are low energy. We are less creative, less innovative when we have low energy. And in general, the quality of our work will be lower, and we'll work harder to get that lower quality. So energy management really matters. Hopefully now I've convinced you that this matters. So I'm not going to leave it dangling there. So what do we do about it? So now let's say that I've got your attention and you're like, okay, maybe there's something to this. So where do we begin? We begin with an energy audit. We also have natural rhythms. And the first thing is to slow down enough to pay attention. When do you have the most energy? Now, for some people, it's first thing in the morning. For other people, it may be in the evening. So when is your best energy? The last team that I supervised in education, there were 2 individuals. We used to laugh as a team. The one worked until about 2 a.m. and then would go to bed. The other one would fall asleep in the chair in the living room at about 9 p.m., but they would be up at 4. So when do you think that the rest of us got emails from them? Well, the one was frequently between midnight and 2 a.m., and the other one was from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. because that was their most productive time. So when is your most productive time? When do you have the most energy? Generally, we have times of the day that we are either have more energy or have lower energy. It sometimes depends on the task. I'll use me as an example. When I am working on something creative, when I am creating content, when I'm working on a video, when I'm recording a video, I am much better with my high energy doing that in the morning, which is why seldom will you get an appointment with me before 10 a.m. So when we're doing an energy audit, we're first looking for when do we have the highest energy? Then we're looking to see, are there certain activities that seem to match our energy levels better? So these are clues as to how we're going to want to arrange and schedule our day. And yes, I know what you're thinking. If you work for someone else, if you work in a business, if you're still working in education, and you're thinking, it sounds great, but I don't have control over any of that. Here's the reflection that I will give you. I felt that way for years, truly felt that I had no choice. And yet what I've come to understand is that I had more control than I ever thought I did. The first step is to first figure out what is ideal. Then it's to see how close can we get to ideal. Even if you're working for someone else, this is important and that take the time to do it. The last piece of an energy audit is really giving thought to when are our natural low times of the day. For me, it's 3 p.m. I am generally going to take a break. I'm going to go for a little walk. I may do some dishes, advantage of working from home. It's not a time I'm looking to have great productivity. My energy is low at 3. The other thing we're looking for is, are there particular activities that drain us of energy? Now, they may be things that we even enjoy, and yet at the end of that activity or task, we're tired. We need some renewal of our energy. So that's our energy audit. What are the times of day we have the most energy? Are there certain tasks that match our energy at certain times of the day better? What are the activities that just tire us out, even if it's things we enjoy? And when do we have the lowest energy of the day typically? These are the beginning. When we have the answers to these, we can begin to schedule and arrange our day to leverage our energy. Now remember, energy is a renewable resource. It is not limited like time. So what are the things that we can do to renew our energy? Eating well, our nutrition contributes to it. If we're not eating, again, this was a bad habit of me. Have you noticed I had many bad habits? And at the time, I didn't think any of them mattered. In fact, I felt quite proud of myself that I could work long hours. I could work through meals. Little did I know, I should not have been quite so proud of myself. So if that's you, there's no time like the present to be making some changes. So what we eat, when we eat, the amount of sleep we get, drinking water, hydration makes a difference. All of these things support our energy levels. And those are foundational pieces. Now, the other pieces is we need to figure out when we're working in a day, we don't always have the option to stop working. So when our energy drops, we need to know what we can do to renew our energy. And many of these things need to be things that are fairly short that we can do. Here's what research tells us. First of all, take a break. Like every 25 to 90 minutes is what research tells us that generally are the time frames that we can focus effectively. At the end of that time frame, take a break. And no, looking at email is not a break. Scrolling through social media on your phone is not a break. Get up, move away from your desk. Physical activity is a great way to provide a stimulus to get ourselves up and moving. Being outside is also a great tool for an energy renewal. I don't know about you. Where I live, we have winter, not a lot of sun in Michigan in the winter. We've had sun the last few days. Just walking out in the middle of the day, even when it's still quite chilly, and just enjoying the sun is a great renewal. So it's important for us to start experimenting. What are the ways that we find an energy renewal? and what are the ones that we can do quickly. We need to have a list of those so that when we need the energy renewal, we have that list to refer to. Week 1, we have talked about energy management. I'll be back next week and we will talk about the next potential roadblock to look for when we're considering the effectiveness of our execution. Bye for now.